Peace and greetings, beautiful beings. Welcome to another episode of Sacred Sound Expressions. At the end of last week's episode, I told you that in this episode, we were going to talk about consciously choosing friends. But after this morning's meditation, we're going to switch a few things up. We got to switch it up because this morning's meditation was so informative and so powerful. And I just want to speak some life into you real quick. You know, nothing serious or anything. So I sat down for meditation and immediately everything was clear in my mind. I could hear my guidance system loud and clear. I was receiving what I thought was the point of meditation. It's like I was meditating for the purpose of reaching a goal, which was clearly hearing my guidance system, clearly hearing the instructions being given by God. But once I got there, I was like, oh, then what's the point of meditating? Like, I can hold this guidance even when I'm not just sitting and being. So what's the point of meditating? And I realized that's the point, that there is no point. Like, there is no end goal of meditation. Meditation is to be done for the purpose of meditating, not to try to reach something. And I realized, okay, so what's happening during meditation? What is happening to me when I meditate? And I realized meditation is receiving. So when I'm thinking, when I am not meditating, I'm creating, I'm doing, I'm creating. I have my hands in reality and I'm moving stuff around. But when I'm sitting and I'm meditating and I'm just being, I am receiving information. I'm receiving. And I wrote down some differences. It's like the difference between push and pull, in and out, inhale and exhale, creating versus receiving. So when I'm sitting and I'm just being and I'm essentially pretending to be a rock, I am sitting with the intention that at every inhale I'm receiving and every exhale I am downloading into my being, into my physical beingness. I'm downloading what I just received. So that's the intention that I sit with while I meditate. And oh God, it was so good. I literally sat here and received, downloaded, write stuff down, then go back to receive, download, and then write a bunch of stuff down. And it was really beautiful. So I just want to share what I received and downloaded and translated in my meditation. So once I realized, okay, this is my intention behind meditating, I got clear on what my intention is. Why am I doing this? I immediately was like, I was telling myself, relax. Like, you don't have to translate the download right away. Just spend some time receiving the download. Don't judge or label or identify what the download is right away. Just receive it. Like, let's just do step one. Like, it's like prior to this moment, as soon as I would receive a block of energy, I would immediately be like, oh, it means this. This is what's happening. Yep, got it. Like, and it's like, no, chill, relax, baby. Relax. Just receive, because receiving feels good. And if you're trying to rush to get to the translation, to get to the download, to get to the understanding, you miss out on what was a really blissful and euphoric experience of receiving. Like, who wants to miss out on ecstasy? For what? Why would you want to skip over the good part? It's like you sit down and watch a movie and you fast forward through the climax. Like, why? That was the best part. So I was like, okay, no judging, no labeling. I'm just inhale, receive, exhale, download. And when I exhale, I exhale kind of slowly, and I hold the exhale. And then I receive, and then I hold. And then I slowly exhale. So I was doing this for a while, and I started to think about intentionality and how our judgments and our labels of things corrupt the thing itself. So like the moment I judge or label something, am I corrupting it because I've labeled it? So I started to think of, I received the phrase, a lion doesn't call itself a lion. We call it a lion, and we've given it a judgment and a label and an expectation, and therefore we see it as a lion, but a lion does not call itself a lion. Therefore it sees and perceives itself differently. I then started to think about, how does nature see itself? Like, how does a tree perceive itself? Does it even perceive itself? Like, is a tree aware of its own existence? And that led into me realizing, oh, like that's what people call waking up, is realizing your own existence, realizing you are here, right now, and you are connected to you are a part of, you're not connected to as if you're outside. You are literally a part of existence, reality, God, all that is. You are a part of existence. Just like my gut microbiome is a part of my body. To my gut microbiome, all the living bacteria swimming around in my belly right now, the entire span of existence is dark, wet, and smells like shit. Okay? Like, that's all that my gut microbiome knows. It doesn't know anything else because it was born in my gut, most likely, and it's most likely going to die there. So that's its whole entire understanding of existence, because it has no awareness of the greater self, which is me, which is my body. So I just started like asking these questions, like, what does nature perceive of itself? Like, what does nature think of itself? Is it even aware of itself? So that was cool. I thought that was a cool little piece of information. That got me also thinking about a video that I posted a couple months ago where TD Jakes was talking about how you are able to recognize your gift when you are able to recognize the thing that you are so naturally good at, you didn't even realize it was a gift. And I'll play it if I can. I'll have to check copyright things. But in this video, he was just explaining how when you are naturally good at something, you may not even recognize it as your purpose or as the unique thing that you add to the collective energy. And that's all about awareness. Once you can become aware of yourself, it's easier to identify these different things. What am I naturally good at, and how does my presence naturally impact people? And I spent quite a few months earlier this year just paying attention to, when I walk into a room and when I talk to people and when I start speaking, what happens? Like, what happens right after that? And I started to notice some things that I've always known about myself, but I reject and I push down into my shadow self because, well, we'll get into but I noticed that I have a naturally commanding presence. When I walk into a room, a lot of the people in that room are going to turn their freaking neck and they're going to look at me. Like, no matter where I go, that's something that always happens. When I start speaking, people will stop talking and stop what they're doing to listen to what I have to say. Even if they're across the room, like, they will come. If I end up start speaking to a group of people, the group usually grows. And I have been pushing and shaming and villainizing that part of myself that is naturally attractive, because I was too afraid to be perceived as arrogant. And that did two things. That fear has done two things. A, it has attracted more arrogance into my life because all I was paying attention to was not being arrogant. And all it did was attract arrogant ass people into my life. And secondly, what it also did was have me living in a perception of what I think you perceive of me. It's like I was changing my identity to fit what I perceived you to be perceiving of me. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's not reality. You're living in a perception of a perception. You're not actually living in reality. You're not actually experiencing what's actually happening because you're living in a perception of a perception. I was living in a perception of a perception. So, we're not going to do that anymore. I've decided that I'm going to be big, bright, and beautiful because that's what I am. I've decided just to be what I am. And if you perceive me as conceited or arrogant or overly confident, that's a you problem. Or if you think I must be fake or inauthentic or I must be performing because no one is actually that nice and no one actually enjoys being in service to other people, that's a you problem. Like, just because I've been told this before, that they thought I was manipulative or that I was fake because of how nice I am. But I am actually that nice and kind of a person because my father is a kind and nice person. So he raised me to be that way, the turn the other cheek type of person. I am actually that person. So if you think I'm putting on an act or I'm performing just because it would be performative for you, doesn't mean that I'm being inauthentic. So that's also something you have to deal with because it's not my problem that you think I'm being fake. Just because it would be fake for you to be this nice and genuine to someone. What you think of me is something you have to deal with, not me. But that's what so many people do. They form an opinion or a judgment on someone and then they try to make it that person's problem. But baby, I rebuke you. I rebuke it. I don't have to deal with what you think about me. So yeah, I'm not going to. And yeah, that was what I got from this morning's meditation. I have been afraid of myself for far too long, and I realized there is no actual natural reason to be afraid of myself. It's just a thought I kept thinking based on my perception of how other people were perceiving me. And none of it makes any sense. And it sounds crazy. And it sounds like I got stuck in an ego trap. By like this thing between I was making myself inferior to make sure that you didn't perceive me as superior, which is crazy because if you perceive me as superior, that's a you problem. I never said I was better than you. I'm just being myself. So yeah, all of this comes from childhood and being around bitches, excuse me, young ladies, that whose mamas were always uncomfortable in the presence of a divine feminine. So they raised their daughters to also be uncomfortable in the presence of a divine feminine. And not to mention like colorism and racism and all that stuff. So yeah, I've been shrinking myself to fit the narrative that I want you to have of me versus just being myself. And you and your narrative can fuck right off. Ain't that crazy? I'm done like shrinking myself for any reason. for any reason at all. So I did an I Ching reading. If you don't know what I Ching or Yi Ching is, go Google it. So the hexagram that I got for today's reading was hexagram 10, which is about treading carefully. And what I understood this hexagram to mean is when you are out in the world, when you are operating in the physical, when you are out here creating and molding your reality to be what you want it to be, right? Two things. You gotta know who you're dealing with. Who are you in the presence of? Who are you in the room with? That's very important. Because if you don't realize that you are walking amongst sleeping tigers, you might, fuck up a little bit and get eaten, So know who you are in the presence of. Know who you be around. Because if you don't know who you're being around, you might not even realize that you're shrinking yourself. This message was real heavy on inferior versus superior, real heavy, which was right on par. So know who you be around and know who has the energetic dominance. Like anytime you walk into a room, you can feel whose energy is dominating the room. That's really smart and wise to know who that is, right? And to also know who is feeling inferior, who in the room is feeling superior, and who is feeling inferior, right? And the reason why is not the reason why. When you find yourself in a room full of dominant ass energy, dominant people, the best way to navigate through this, according to the I Ching, is to step lightly and be, not step lightly physically, yes, but be light in your heart. Carry a heart with grace and good humor. Be lighthearted. And that's the easiest way to navigate through these experiences that you're being brought through. Because, you don't want to hop in the ring with someone else's ego. For what? That's not fun. Do you like fighting? If you like fighting, go do that. But I don't like fighting. I just like vibing to my own vibe. And it's wild because I can tell I changed when the type of men that I am attracted to changed. I used to be attracted to the alpha of the group. Like when I see like a guy and his friends, I would like the one who had the dominant energy, right? I would always go for the person who had the most dominant energy in the room. But you have to realize a lot of people, a lot of men and women, but a lot of people will purposely place themselves amongst people who they can dominate so that they seem like the alpha. And that's the problem. Most alphas aren't purposely seeking out other alphas. They stay in their little bubble so that they can always remain the alpha. So that's the problem with that. I'm not attracted to that guy anymore. I'm more attracted to the humble, not even humble, because he be confident too. I'm attracted to the quiet guy vibing in the back, who's out there just chilling, vibing to his own vibe. I like that one. The super quiet, a little bit nerdy, geeky, but super fucking cool. As soon as you start talking to him, he got a lot to say. He just not about to demand people pay attention to him. And I really enjoy that person because it's more of a reflection of me, because when I walk into a room, I don't do anything to get people's attention. People just fucking stare at me. And I like the guy that has the guy that can pull me in versus the guy that's like blinking, flashing lights and blowing horns and doing all this shit to get people's attention. I like the guy sitting in the corner smoking and vibing. So that's how I knew I changed. When the type of guy that I go for changed. Also, I feel like stepping lightly and being lighthearted is a good way to maneuver through difficult circumstances. When life is really difficult and you're experiencing tower moments, or like you feel like shit's just fucking up, shit's not going right, that's even more of a reason to step lightly and don't attach. Like, just don't even attach to anything that's going on. Just kind of move through it with grace and humor and just relax and try to have fun. And I know that feels counterintuitive, to relax and have fun when life feels like it's falling apart. But that really is the easiest way to get through it, because if it's falling apart, it's supposed to. So just let it fall. Don't try to catch and attach to anything. Just let it fall. If it needs to fall, let it fall. God is not going to let anything fall that is for you, that is still for you. If something is still for you and it still needs to be in your life, God is going to take care of that. Like, let God move the chessboard. Let God move the pieces for you. Get your hands off the freaking board. Sometimes, yes, it's fun to play. But sometimes when life is hard, like, just back up and, like, hands off. Just chill, relax. Like, let it unfold. You don't know what's going on right now. You don't know how this tower moment is going to serve you. Let it serve you. Like observe it to see it in service. You feel me? If you're trying to grab and move pieces, like, you're not going to be able to perceive how God is using this situation to serve you. You need to just let it be. Is that a bar? Somebody make that a rap song. Anyways, I love you. I love you, God. You watching this that has aligned with me for whatever reason. I love you, man. Thank you for being here. I'm really excited to continue to walk this journey. I'm really excited that we get to do it together. Okay? So I will see you next week on Wednesday on another episode of Sacred Sound Expressions. Can you, like, I don't want to have to ask people to like this video and subscribe to my channel, because I feel like if you want to subscribe and if you want to like and comment and share, you're going to do it naturally, and I shouldn't have to ask you. So yeah, that's why I never say these type of things at the end of my videos, because, like, I would rather you subscribe because you wanted to, not because I asked you. So yeah, I see you next week. I love you. Bye.